Welcome to the Piece by Piece Autism Podcast with your hosts, Angie and Christy. They've worked 25 years to help Alec get the most out of life. Let them tell you how they're doing it.
Welcome back to Piece by Piece Autism Podcast, where we're here talking about how my son, Alec, who's 27 years old, has gone through all the things that you do for autism treatment, from ABA to OT to PT to all of the different therapies to try to get him to where he is now, which is a great place where he's living in a group home in Utah and keeping busy and being a productive citizen, holding down a small job and just happy as can be right now. And today we're talking about one of the things that's really helped him stay grounded and has really developed his ability to be more independent in a lot of ways. He was lacking the ability to just sit and do anything for the longest. And I would have given anything when he was a younger child for him to just give me 5 minutes, like just 5 minutes, buddy. So could you just sit here for 5 minutes? But he couldn't. He didn't have the ability to do that. He didn't have the skill.
Yeah.
And so eventually we started trying to build his leisure skills and figured out that his mind and his hands needed to be busy. He had some anxiety growing up, especially in his teen years during the time that he was going through puberty. And so these presence activities really help him regulate that. We were given the idea from Steve Ward from Whole Child Consulting. You're going to think, whenever we tell you about presence activities, you're going to think that this is like almost too simple, too easy, that it can't really work.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm here to tell you that it works. And it's been great for Alec. It's just fabulous. It's almost like a cure-all. And that's why we call it the magical presence activity, because it has really brought a lot of peace to our family, to our home, to Alec, to his caretakers, to his day. And so we're gonna go down that path with you and kind of tell you how it evolved and how we use it and what are presence activities. So take it away, Angie. What's next?
All right. Well, let's start with just explaining what these are. We'll give some examples of some of our favorites so you can kind of have an idea or a picture in your mind as we discuss the why and the when and the how. But in a nutshell, we have a variety of options, most of which are independent, closed-ended activities. And I think, as we've discussed kind of what we wanted to share here, the idea of this being closed-ended is a very crucial aspect to the success of a presence activity, because it really sets the expectation. And Alec understands, as he has practiced these, that once he completes the task, he's done and can then get up and clean up his materials and move on. So some examples. One that goes far back and one that I have used with my own children, one that I've gifted to friends of mine with young kids, is a cup with straws. I just get plastic straws and cut them into thirds, and I pull the straws out and have them in my hand. And for my young 1.5-year-old right now, I just hand him one at a time and he slips the straw down into the hole of the cup. And this particular cup we'll link for you. It's got a nice little rubber gasket at the top, which is a nice sensory aspect to this cup, but any cup would do, any cup.
It slows the activity down.
Yeah. So the straws get placed in the top of the cup one at a time. Another is clothespins on a coffee can. I've got a little pencil box for a travel option that you just clasp. Got to be able to pinch it open, find the edge, release it, clasp the clothespins around the edge of the can or whatever container that they're held in, and then unclip them and place them back into that container. Another is putting beads on a string, or we've done beads on pipe cleaners even. Like I've got that as a travel option. We really like to have the option of an at-home presence activity, and then we really think through easy ones to take and throw in a backpack or on the go. Another is, we call it popcorn popping. This one, we just got these really cute little popcorn buckets and white and yellow, what are those called? Pom-poms? Is that what they're called?
Pom-poms.
Yeah.
Yes, they're
So,
pom-poms. And they look like popcorn.
Yeah, they're cute in the little popcorn bucket. And we can dump these out across the room. And Alec can go with tongs or with hands if needed and pick them up and place them back into the container. So you can see that the ideas of these are all quite simple. We've got all sorts of sizes for, again, travel options or at home. In fact, Connect 4, we have every variety from the teensy tiniest little travel option to an outdoor yard where each of the discs are
standing one.
Yeah, 4 inches in diameter. They're large and that one's really fun. So all sorts of sizes. Another favorite that has been around for a long time is balls in a bucket. And we've used that indoors. We've used it outside. We've used it with games or, play, social.
And those are just the balls that you get for a ball pit.
Right.
So they're fun and they're multicolored. They're light. And we can just, when he's a little bit out of sorts, we can toss those balls over the backyard and he is just going around and gathering them up and bringing them back to the bucket. And it's really calming. It's like a big Zen experience for him.
Yes, yes. So just so you've got an idea of some of these activities, we love the variety. We're always growing our list of presence activities. And we like the option for a sit down, focus, relax, Zen experience, as well as a movement. Sometimes Alec needs to move his body and get some energy out. We call those gross motor presence activities. So we're always looking for variety in both options.
What are your presence activities, Angie? Can typical people do presence activities, or do you think only this is an exclusive?
I think if we all think about it, we all have our own presence activities. I would say for me,
right,
baking is probably a presence activity that I go to. There are times where I am busting cookies out and my house is a disaster, but for some reason, the act of making cookies, having some cookie dough in the freezer to pop into the oven, I just love the result of that. And I have something to show for my efforts, Don't you love having that end result? Something to show.
Yeah. Well, and I think you were also saying, like, for me, I like the fluency of that. Like, I can make cookies in my sleep.
Right.
And so it is really almost mindless, but you have to measure things and you have to put them together in the right order. You have to not overbake them.
Yeah, there's a process.
There's a little bit of skill involved, but yeah, but it is very soothing to bake for us. For some other people, not so much.
Yeah.
But
like for my kids, I think they love to build Legos. That's similar in that there's a system to it. There's a process. They can be creative and of course build and think through things, but they like following the little booklets and having that end result. So I definitely think this is something we as typical individuals do naturally, but this doesn't come as natural. It hasn't been as natural. It's been something that we've taught, a learned behavior that Alec has become really proficient in, but has also met the needs of this idea of self-regulation, which has been difficult for him to sort out on his own. So we have given him this fabulous tool that has built confidence, and it's really helped him gain independence. And because we have laid this foundation and expectation of, hey, when I hand this bucket to you. This is what you do with the materials, whatever it may be, whatever activity it is. He really understands like, oh, this is an activity for me. I know what to do with it. I'm confident in my ability to do it, complete it, put my materials away. And he comes out on the other end feeling accomplished, just like we do after taking a bite of a cookie.
That is correct. And having our cookie dough balls already in the freezer.
Love it.
So where do you think where all does he do this? Only at home?
Oh no, we love these for all occasions. Like I said, we have them in all sorts of sizes. We love having them on the go. I know for me and my children, we've adapted this in my home as a plethora of activities that we can grab and take in the car. If we're going to the doctor, if we're going and sitting in church, I can pull out these tasks and have my kids engaged in these activities. And same goes for Alec. He has done them on literally trains, planes, automobiles, at the top of a ski lift.
Not the back of a motorcycle yet, but
no,
there's still time.
So he always has a couple of these in his backpack. We referenced presence activities in that episode, backpack. If you listen to those, this is, just obviously an expansion of some of those activities, but we like the lightweight options, obviously, so he's not weighed down in his backpack, but the idea remains the same. So day to day, Alec does several of these throughout the day, but how do we schedule that, would you say, Christy? Are they scheduled or?
Well, we want to be proactive in scheduling it. Well, they're not scheduled, but like they go within a schedule that a caretaker is designing for him on their session. Like a caretaker comes in maybe for a 3-hour session, and they're going to do probably a couple of presence activities.
Yeah.
Would you say per shift?
I would say a couple per shift for sure. They are used proactively again to establish our expectations, and we want to keep the variety going. So I would say each team member probably does 2 or 3. They also, like you said, you would have given anything to have a few minutes. I think it's great that we can say, hey, Alec, here's an activity while I get going on making breakfast, or as I'm pulling other materials together for an activity they're working on, or whatever. If the team member needs a couple minutes, we know that he can be proactively occupied, taking care of himself for a few minutes. But I will say we also use these, luckily not often, but as reactive measures if Alec seems to be kind of getting into his own head or into a funk or needing to be occupied. So we can say, hey, it looks like, you're getting a little loud, or whatever our precursor behaviors that we recognize in Alec. Looks like we need to get your hands and minds occupied. Let's sit down and do a presence activity. Or it looks like you're getting a little bit amped and need to move your body in a productive way. Let's get going. Let's go outside. It's a beautiful day. Let's get some sunshine and do the balls in the bucket out back, like you said. So while those are being used reactively, we make sure that we do them often and practice them in a productive, proactive way so that they are not given a negative connotation to him that these are used only as a punisher. We don't want that connection being made.
No.
Because it's just something we do.
Right.
Good, bad, or indifferent. This is something we do that he's good at.
Can you think of a time that he has refused to do one or protested a presence activity? Because I can't think of one. It seems like he almost craves them. I know he has actually mandated, or another word for that is requested, a presence activity because he needed settling of his mind.
Mm-hmm. I can't think of much of a time that he's refused to do them. We have had some in our repertoire or list that required the team's attention a little bit more, that were more difficult for him. They weren't just putting straws in a cup, but it was more of a sorting or a matching different items or colors or things like that, that was a bit more challenging. But we have a few of those that he's always learning or needs a bit more cooperation from another person, but not in a refusal kind of way. I think because this has been something we've done for so long, like you said, he knows that they help his body and his mind. He knows that they pull him back into a good space, and he's starting to recognize more and more as he's gotten older, like, hey, I need to do my presence activities because I'm feeling a little out of sorts, or he wants something to do with his hands. And we've been able to help him and support him that way as he's communicated that need to us.
Yeah, I love that he advocates for himself that way.
Yeah.
And that he can now recognize he's familiar enough with how his body and his mind, especially his mind, works, that I really need this right now. Just like I was telling Angie earlier, I thought I was using a Hallmark movie as a presence activity, but we decided, it doesn't really meet the full criteria of a presence activity. But sometimes don't you just need like something that's mindless, that's predictable? And what is more predictable than a Hallmark movie? Gonna have a great ending.
Yep.
It always ends great. They always have one kiss at the end.
Happy-go-lucky.
Yeah. It's gonna be set in a cute little town.
Yes. Who doesn't love
they
a
celebrate
Hallmark movie?
Christmas all year long. So, yeah, but he is identifying that, and I think I wish they had been more prominent in his life during puberty, more during the early part of that. That would have been really cool. But you have to go with your child's skill level and what they're able to do independently, and that was something we really had to work towards.
Yeah.
So how are we picking these activities for your child if you're just getting started doing presence activities? How old is too old to start them? How would you take your first steps to pick a presence activity for your child?
Well, I think, of course, too old is never too old, but considering competencies, likes and dislikes, and getting a pulse on how can I support my child and kind of build a foundation of building this independent skill, right? And like I said, we have some where we still sit with him and support him through as we're building the full independent skill of that activity. And some of those examples are, he's got some bigger puzzles that maybe he can't complete independently, but if I'm sitting there with him and give him 2 or 3 at a time, he can do 2 or 3 at a time. And so I just kind of hold back. He's not sat with the entire puzzle, but we're building to that level. And so while we have a large repertoire for Alec of independent, we didn't have that large list quite yet. So starting with some puzzles, or if your child is a pro at building Legos or building a tower, it's really just setting the expectation of, I can give this individual 10 Legos to build, but can they put together a large Duplo set successfully? And maybe just the daily practice of that, they could get to that point. But I think sitting and assessing, and like we've talked about in chores, probing where they're at, and then slowly building on that skill until this becomes rote. And the idea of a presence activity isn't necessarily to entertain or
challenge in a kind of intellectual way.
Right. But
they're not. They're just...
It's okay if the presence activity is not the most exciting thing. Alec may be bored with one, and that's okay. The purpose is not fully just to entertain, but it is to give them the sense of independence, task completion, and occupy the mind and the hands so that they can get out of a funk That's really how it's been productive for Alec. I will say that we have pulled some presence activities out, rotated them because Alec has gotten bored of some. And so we've pulled them and put them aside and reintroduced them down the road so that, he's not doing too many of the same over and over again.
Where would you say our favorite places are? Where do we get our inspiration for new presence activities more than any other place?
Oh, a place? I love to just go
Starts
wander.
with an H and ends with a Y.
I just love to go wander Hobby Lobby.
There you go.
Yeah.
They are not sponsoring the show, but they should.
They should. I mean,
also Target.
Yeah, we love to just go wander, grab different materials, see if we can pull different new items off the shelf and put together. When Alec was in Utah, pretty newly, this was probably our OG team, as we like to refer to them. We went together and just wandered. We actually wandered Target for this one. And together with some of the team members came up with, this one's a little bit more tricky, but I love the complexities of it for Alec. We got little cones and then made holes in the top of the cones to put a golf tee in. And then Alec balances a golf ball on the sometimes unstable golf tee. And so he kind of sits and we put these around him.
It's fun to watch.
It is really fun to watch. We put him around him in like a semicircle, and he actually places now, again, this was not how we started it, but as he's learned this over the years, he now places the golf tee into the hole of the cone. Thank you. And then balances. And there's been times where as he's placing the golf ball on a tee, he'll sometimes nudge a different golf ball off. And he's like, oh, so he has to chase that one down as it's rolling off of the cone and replace it on. But it requires a tremendous amount of focus from him. And it is great to see. This wasn't anything we saw on Instagram or anywhere else. This was strictly
Pinterest.
Yeah,
this was not a Pinterest activity.
This was strictly the team and I wandering the halls of Target and trying to come up with new ideas. So that's a really fun one. We also one of our team challenges, as we like to do with our team on occasion, they were challenged to come up with a new presence activity. And I took on the challenge myself and was trying to figure out some new things. These do not have to be expensive. It's not like we're buying a ton of convoluted or weird materials, So one of our team members, this was probably my favorite, she went and got a So Delicious cup with these little square, I don't even know what the cubes are that she's used, but they're I
don't know what they're made out of. They look really cool, but they're spongy, I think.
Yeah. They're supposed to look like little ice cubes.
I don't know what they are.
They're just these little square cubes. And so she put Velcro, and it's very obvious that's like got a red backing wherever the Velcro is. So it's a visual marker for Alec, but he just places the little square cubes onto the Velcro inside the cup. And again, there's a finite number of the cubes. When the cubes have been all placed, Alec knows that he's completed the task. And so that was a great one.
And the cup is it about a 32-ounce cup?
I would think so. Yeah, it's large enough that his hand can fit down in it. I've not seen it in person, actually.
Okay.
So she just sent the video.
So it's like a 32-ounce foam.
Yeah. Super cheap. nothing extravagant in materials or prep.
Right.
But creative in her thinking. Alec loves to go to So Delicious and get a drink. Who doesn't? Very simple. So we love just getting ideas and new takes on things. And our team has been really great to be creative minds because, I feel like I've thought of these over the years, or we've seen ideas and been able to replicate some of those, but it's nice to bring our heads together and just think through. So Well, the idea really,
Yeah,
really,
there's really no limit to it.
yeah, the idea is independence, closed-ended, simple task completion that can be easily taught to your learner. And of course, identify those activities that your kid is into with likes and dislikes or hobbies or interests, whatever they may be, to build off of that as you're starting. But there is no limit to what could be a presence activity.
And just to make sure also that you have the variety of having some that don't make noise. Like he has one that I love that y'all did that really early on, where it has a little bucket and it's got those clear blue rocks in it.
Oh yeah.
And he has
yeah.
the tiniest spoon. It's like the tiniest little hobbit spoon. And he takes the spoon. It's such fine motor too, right? Wouldn't that be
Yes.
fine motor?
Oh yes, yes.
Just getting those little bitty spoons and then getting the little rock on it. And then he has to put that into another
empty
bucket or
cup.
the
Yep.
lid, an empty cup. And that would be kind of loud for church, clanking with those the spoon and the rocks hitting against each other. So we wouldn't use that one in church so much.
Yeah.
We wouldn't string beads in church because beads, he likes to string the whole thing and then kind of spin it around and clank it, you know.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't really do that in church, but we would definitely put clips on a coffee can. We definitely have the straws. He brought those to church yesterday. He puts the straws through the hole. And so, yeah, you got to think about different ones. We have, ones outside, like the big life-size Connect 4s outside some of the time. It's really loud when it clanks down after it's all full of Connect 4.
Yeah, we love for him to have the option to, again, do these seated in his house or across the room in his home as a gross motor, or to take them outside and do them while he gets some sunshine. They are not always used as a reactive measure, but because we've really established them proactively, they mean something and help him get out of his mind and in a good, better place, because we can use them reactively as well. So they've really been a great tool in our tool bucket and a daily use, daily practice, large variety, and a fantastic add to keep him in a good, healthy spot.
I agree. They're one of my favorite things. And they're just so useful and across so many different locations and situations that I think that if you can start this program with your child, I think you would be extremely happy with how it goes. And make sure to DM us if you have any questions about it.
I think too, like, they're so simple. It almost seems too good to be true. But like you said,
right,
what would we have given when he was younger or going through puberty to have this as a tool? This didn't come on for him until kind of past that point. But we urge you to get started now with your learner and get the variety built up and their repertoire kind of stacked now, so that you can have this in your tool bucket and enjoy it like Alec has been able to. Really rely on it and request it at this point.
Yeah, and everybody can do it. Just don't forget that. Any child will have some level of competency, I believe.
Oh, for sure.
Am I crazy to think that?
No, I think that is absolutely true, that anybody can start with one or two of these. And check our social media, because we'll be posting examples and pictures of a bunch of these ideas that Alec has been able to use. Just start somewhere.
1,000%.
Thank you for joining us today, and don't forget to check us out on social media. If you want to contact us, send us a direct message on our Instagram or our Facebook page. You can find us at Piece by Piece, that's PIECE, Piece by Piece Autism Podcast. Until next time, talk to you later.
Bye.